He's a barber and he uses Vagaro. He had a report and Vagaro said he made, X amount, but that's not the amount that was actually put in his bank account. What was put into his bank account was after fees, because Vagaro is going to make sure they get their fees. What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of The Hair CEO, where we work on our business and not just in our business. I'm your host, Jennifer Drew, aka Jen Drewby, and we are right now in an 8-part series where we're talking about business taxes, and we are tailoring it specifically to hair professionals. So I'm talking about barbers, hairstylists, braiders. If you sell hair, anything in the hair industry, this is for you. I'll have a link to the prior episodes, but today we're going to be talking about the 1099K, which is a form that a lot more hair professionals will start receiving at the beginning of 2023 for 2022 because of the new law that was passed saying that you will receive a report of your income anything over $600, whereas previously the threshold was 200 transactions or $20,000 in income. So that is a huge change in that threshold. So that means that a lot more hair professionals, a lot more barbers, hairstylists, braiders, you're going to receive this new 1099K form starting next year. So I want to make sure you understand what it is that you're going to be getting and what to look for, how to read it, how to understand it. All right. So this right here is, I could have put up a form of the 1099K, but I'm just trying to show off my, my skills with drawing. It looks terrible, but we're going to work with it. Plus, you probably can't even read it anyway because I'm not zooming in. But I just want to point out a few things that is really important for you. So like I mentioned before, you're going to start receiving these forms. So I want you to be prepared for them. Now, this is for any credit card processing payment companies. So your Squares, your Vagaros, your Bookski, your Squire, anything that accepts payments. Now, some of these, maybe I said some that don't even accept payments, so, just ignore it. But I'm not talking about booking sites only. If you have a booking site and you do not collect payments from that booking site, then you don't have to worry about receiving a 1099K from that particular service provider. I'm talking about anything where you are processing payments. So if you have a credit card machine at your place, if you have a Square Reader app, if you take Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, things like that, those are the companies that are going to be sending you these 1099Ks, okay? Now, Zelle is different. I'm actually going to do a separate video next week on Zelle and how Zelle is going to work, because they're not going to work like the other payment processors. They don't report anything to the IRS, but I do want to give you some special ways of handling that. So I want to dedicate an entire episode to it, okay? So now let's look at this form. This is just something that I drew up, and it's indicative of what it looks like for any, company that's giving you a 1099K. Now, here, this one is for 2021. You'll always see the year here. You'll see at the top right, it's the payment card and third-party network transactions. So those are the companies that are reporting this income. This is just a breakdown of a few different things. So you have up here, this is the filer's ID number, and then the payee's number. But the really important boxes here are this one right here. Well, number one, you want to make sure that you're always filing for the right year. So you want to verify that, because I've had some mishaps before. People will bring me documents that they want to file for 1 year, but it's actually for a different year. So you want to make sure that you know exactly which year you're filing for, or that they are reporting for. And then the next important box is going to be the gross amount. So this is the amount of money that the payment processor is saying that they collected on your behalf. And you have to be careful here, because I did a reel about this on IG. I don't know if you're following me on IG yet, but it's at the hair CEO _ but I did a reel where I was talking about how I was talking with one of my clients. He's a barber and he uses Vagaro, but he has all of his, like he had a report and Vagaro will say he made, X amount, but it's the gross amount. But that's not the amount that was actually put in his bank account. What was put into his bank account was after fees, right? Because Vagaro is going to make sure they get their fees. And that's typically how a lot of these third-party transactions and processors work. They're going to take their fees before they even give you your money. So we want to make sure that we're capturing all of that money that they're keeping as a business expense. So super important there, because what this amount says here is not the amount that's going to be placed into your account, which is another reason why record keeping is so important. Because if you get this and you report it, you could be missing out on what? Most credit card processing are between 3 and like 4%. So you could be missing out on 3 or 4% of your gross income in tax deductions because you didn't capture that you never received that money. So if you're just putting down that you received that whole entire gross amount, you're already cheating yourself out of a tax deduction. I hope that makes sense. So the other thing that's going to be important to note and understand where it is this box right here. This says federal taxes withheld. Now, majority of these credit card processing companies, they're not withholding your taxes, which is why they're sending it to the IRS, because the IRS needs to know how much money you received and how much they should be looking out for you to report when it's time to file. And then below there, you have the months that are broken out. So all 12 months are broken out, and they're going to specify how many transactions you had per month. And again, this is where really good record keeping is going to come in handy, because you want to double check that matches with your reports. You do not want to wait until the end of the year to say, oh, okay, this is how much I made in April, May, and June. Because let me tell you something, these companies, they make mistakes all the time. They have a lot of automation going on, but they are mistakes that these credit card companies make, and you want to make sure that you have your own set of records and not relying on someone else's. So this is a breakdown of what they're saying you made each and every month. And here you'll have the state that they are saying that you live in. A lot of times this state ID will be blank. And of course, withholdings, the state withholdings will be blank. So federal and state withholdings are blank because they're not paying those taxes. You're required to pay those taxes. So you want to get comfortable with this form. And also, this is just letting you know early enough, because if you're looking at this at the time when it's released, we're just entering in the second quarter of 2022, and the first tax payment for 2022 is April 18th. So you want to start paying those estimated federal and state taxes so that you don't have a problem come filing time, and you don't have to get charged penalties and interest and things like that. So I hope this has been helpful. I hope you now have an understanding of what this 1099-K form looks like and what to expect starting in 2022, and how to prepare for it, and how to just, make sure that you're ready and you know how to read it, and to make sure you're looking out for it, because you don't want to file your taxes without it. In the next episode, I'm going to go into Zelle and why they are not required to give you this form. And then I think the last video, the 8th video, I'm going to talk about my strategies for how you can prepare for the payment of these taxes so that you're not paying these lump sums all at once at the end of the year. All right, so I hope this has been helpful. If we're not connected on IG, follow me on IG at @thehairceo_. Also, make sure you share this with a barber, braider, hairstylist, anyone who's in the hair industry. Remember, sharing is caring, and I will see you on the next episode.